Morphe, 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 Morphe. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to be discussing some new beauty releases, mainly out of necessity because I've been getting so many messages and comments and DMs from you guys asking about certain products and whether or not I'm planning on buying them. And also, I feel like we need to dig deep today, for the first time maybe ever on my channel, on like the cruelty-free conversation, because I always thought it was really simple. But the more I dig into it and the more I try and learn about it, the more I realize I don't know that much about it. I guess the less I realize I know. But yeah, we are just going to be kind of anti-hauling, kind of doing a discussion of things that are coming out. And just to let you know where my head is at, I'm kind of in like a low by July mindset right now. I feel like every time I hit mid-year, that always happens to me. And so I don't want to say no by July because just in case something really fantastic comes out, you know? But yeah, I have like all of my makeup over here in piles to do a big declutter for you guys again, which is always so much fun to me, always makes my head feel so much better. But yeah, that's kind of the mindset that I'm in. So that's why we are doing kind of an anti-haulish thing today. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about today is the Lawless Blush release. So Annie Lawless has put out now a line of blushes, which says clean beauty, you know, and it says cruelty-free, and it says blushes, and it says luxury. So to most people watching my channel, you're like, obviously you're going to buy this and review it, right? Here's the thing. Actually, there are a few things. One, I mean, just very simply, I'm not that into powder blushes right now, even though I just bought the Patrick Ta one, but that's because he put the cream and the powder in the same blush compact, and I am just gosh darn curious as to how that's supposed to work. I'm going through my collection right now, and I realized that, with the exception of like a couple of blushes, I really haven't touched a powder blush in a minute. And so just looking at my collection and my needs and my wants, it just doesn't excite me that much. Another reason that this looks like it's going to have my name written all over it is just because I'm such a blush person. I just love blushes. I have this like enormous collection of blushes that like no human is ever going to be able to make their way through. But here's the thing. I have been burned in the past by Lawless and her formulas. I just don't find them all that impressive, and I do think that they are overpriced for what they are. Yes, you get a lot of product typically in her packages for the amount of money, that's fine, but if I don't like the product, I'm not gonna make it through all that product anyway. And so I guess it comes down to the way I think about like my favorite food, right? I love tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Ever since I was a kid, I loved tomatoes. You guys are like, where are you going with this? But then people will see me pull them off of my salad. They're like, what? Why are you? I thought tomatoes were like your favorite food. I'm like, when you really love tomatoes, there's actually nothing worse than a disappointing tomato, like a mealy, open it up and it's gray white inside, like, just a bad tomato. And so I think that you're more disappointed by a bad version of something that you love than a bad version of something you didn't really care about to begin with. And so I look at these and I look at the shade values of them, knowing my skin, and I totally think that if they work for anybody, they're gonna work for somebody who wants a lot of saturation to their blushes because they look really richly pigmented. If you guys watched my countdown of my powder blushes, you would know that I'm actually not that big of a fan of blush that is super pigmented. I find that I just get overwhelmed too quickly, and I'm just really pale. So I like to have options. I like to be able to spread things out. That's why I like cream so much. And so, yeah, for those reasons, and also just, I don't know, I mean, granted, in the conversation of everything having to do with race and microaggressions and things like that, Annie Lawless's weird transgression about slimy mushrooms, just Google it. It's weird. I'm not like in the business of canceling people. I'm not even in the position to cancel people, but I just do get kind of an odd vibe off that whole situation. So if you have not read about that and that sounds interesting to you, just Google it. I don't know, just Google like Annie Lawless, like mushrooms or whatever. In the world of everything that's going on YouTube and in the beauty space right now, it is like, I don't know, it's like really far down the ladder, but it is still really weird. So anyway, yeah, there are better places that I would rather be spending my money, and it is a really expensive blush. Okay, the second thing that I want to talk about, and this isn't necessarily something I'm anti-hauling because I already bought it, I just haven't gotten it in the mail yet, and that is the Curewise new concealer. She's $38. I don't know how much product you get in the package, but that's the same price as the Hourglass concealer, just kind of, you know, drawing equivalencies as far as, you know, what kind of prestige pricing we're talking about here. And if you are at all familiar with Curewise as a brand, you know that they are tip-top, cruelty-free, best ingredients, clean beauty, all of these things. And they charge a premium price for that, and they always have. And so I fell in love with their products probably early on in my clean beauty journey, I guess in 2019, yeah. And I love their foundation, I love their powder, I really enjoy the things that I have tried from them. And I love that they do refillable packaging. I love that you buy that beautiful metal container one time, you know, and that was what was so cool and innovative to me about it. Now, cut to last week when a bunch of you guys started tagging me, thank you, in the release posts about their new concealer. Of course, that's very, very exciting. And I believe this is also in some way refillable packaging, although it looks like a regular tube of concealer, but I assume that they're sticking by their morals on that. And when I went on the website, what I found interesting about it was they have switched all of their default thumbnails on their front pages of all their complexion products to deep skin models, which cool. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit performative, but as white people, we're all kind of a little bit performative, okay? Like we're all trying to just sort of figure it out right now. And I feel like it was just, you know, like a neither here nor there, but like an okay gesture, right? So I bought it, yes. And then I ran across this post on the Instagram account, the Snoop Dogg fan page. I don't know why she calls herself that. I'm sure if I looked deeper I could find the joke because she's like a skincare Instagram. But it's the shade analysis on the Curewise and their new Invisible Touch Concealer. So she says, let's do some work today. Shall we? Curewise released their new Invisible Touch Concealer, which hosts only 12 shades and retails for $38. Before even doing the analysis, I already knew that I knew what was going to surface. However, we go off facts here, people, not assumptions, so here we are. So this, I believe, is just of the concealer, not of their entire range, but it basically breaks it down to the fact that most of the shades kind of are in the deeper than me, but that's not really saying much, white girl shades, essentially. And when you look at the actual shade range on their website, it really looked like the swatches, the way they've got the swatches broken out, and that's how I've always, I don't know, that's how I've always looked at it because I only use one concealer color. Something that's been brought to my attention recently is that much like Jackie Aina, who I've always thought was like pretty, you know, excessive in like all of the different shades that she uses in concealer, she'll use like 5 or 6 different concealers, and I was like, wow. That's actually like more common than I thought with black skin tones because there's just more complexity to like capturing, you know, dimension on your face and trying to kind of recreate that. And so it's not necessarily your shade match for deeper skin tones as much as it is for me where I just buy one of a concealer. And so that is a brand new revelation for me, but also the fact that when I looked at this shade range, I saw a very, very deep shade and I saw kind of, you know, the swatches in between and thought, okay, well, you know, maybe it's kind of sheer, whatever. And also I realized that my expectations are tempered by it being a clean beauty brand, which I will get to in a second. But when I looked at it, the untrained eye, I said, that's a pretty deep shade. But this analysis kind of leads me to believe that this isn't really very inclusive at all. And for that, I realized I have more to learn, basically, because, you know, I looked at it and it didn't look like Chanel to me, you know, just like 17 shades of white. And so I was like, no, okay, you know, they might not have 5 shades for a black person, but they also don't have 5 shades for me. You know, they have one that I'm probably going to like do okay with kind of thing. So the other thing that she posted was just a screenshot from the library apothecary who left a comment on the Curewise post that says, you're missing a lot of shades between the last 2 and the 3rd and 2nd to last. Why do you have so few dark shades? So I think that that's the thing is it's like you kind of have to know what you're looking for, and I'm just, again, untrained eye. This is stuff that I'm still very, very much in the beginning of learning about. Curewise responded, inclusive representation of color within our shades from all our products is key for me and the team. As a growing entrepreneurial brand, we face resource challenges when it comes to the colors we can launch with as compared to large corporations. In this 12 shade concealer launch, we were intentional to curate the offering to appeal to a diverse population, recognizing that with time and growth, we will keep adding more shades to the range in phases. Hope this helps to clarify and offer perspective. To me, this opens up a larger conversation of the can of worms that is clean beauty. Granted, you know, I did all clean routine 2019, last year, obviously, and we graduated from it. I do have a lot of clean beauty brands that I think do a really, really good job as far as performance and worth for your money, but inclusivity is more complicated than I even realized. And, you know, there is like a website, there's Black and Green, which is, you know, a completely Black-owned artisanal clean beauty shop that is really, really cool. But the clean beauty space on the whole has gotten a lot of criticism lately for being mainly white and mainly catering to white people, mainly catering to white kind of, you know, upper crust, whatever, white women. Obviously upper crust because it's very expensive usually. So I think that what this made me think of is just basically the whole idea behind me trying to delve into clean beauty and also cruelty-free, which is going to be another conversation a little bit later on in the video. I've always thought that it would be possible to bring to my channel certain conversations and certain groupings of makeup that were purely good, right? And that there existed that where, you know, we're talking about something that is just a purely safe, just, considerate, and, you know, equal opportunity area of any kind of makeup that I could talk about on my channel that could appeal to everyone. And it just doesn't seem to be true. Clean beauty lacks in inclusivity. Cruelty-free beauty is a hairy mess all its own. And even something like the video that I did on Beauty Bakery, a bunch of the former employees, just a handful of them, I've been seeing their posts coming up recently talking about how cashmere actually creates a really toxic work environment that actually makes Black women, deep-skinned Black women feel super unwelcome, and that at least anecdotally she is not protecting the people that she claims to be empowering, basically. And so, yeah, I just feel like for all of my own attempts and efforts and desire, honestly, for anything to be purely good, I don't feel like anything is. Is that just like, it's so cynical, but at the same time, like, I think we all want it to be simple, right? And I think that that's why a lot of people came to my channel last year, is because clean beauty sounded simple. It sounded like we were all going to be able to approach something from a common mindset and be able to find something that was truly good. Trying to divide it into like easy pockets of like understanding the beauty world and like what's evil and what's not, it's just not that simple. And that is something that I have just kind of like crashed into recently, just finally having to throw my hands up and being like, there is no completely safe zone. And so coming back to the Curewise Concealer, yes, I bought it. My untrained eye said, if you're only gonna put out 12 shades, I feel like those are a pretty good set of 12 shades. But again, obviously my eyes deceive me, my brain deceives me, my bias deceives me. And so I am still going to review it for those people out there who are interested in it and who can find their tone in it, their, you know, their desired concealer tone in it, but just with the understanding that things can be good and well-intentioned and still be biased, and things can be high quality and do most things right and not do everything right. And that these are just the things that, I don't know, I'm coming to understand about all the products that I review and on my channel and everything. And it's overwhelming. It really is. But I am going to review that product. But just like everything else, there are just going to be caveats. Okay, I said we were going to talk about cruelty-free status, and that is the next thing that we need to dive into here. So I've actually gotten a lot of really helpful comments and messages from you guys recently. One person, the first one that brought it to my attention, said, you know, I want to try Fenty, but they're not cruelty-free. And I was like, I'm sorry, quoi? Like, they're not? I really thought that, you know, she was. And there is the whole don't be fooled by a cruelty-free claim on their website and things like that. But I just kind of always figure that like an emerging brand like that, I know she's huge. I know. But I always figure that those kinds of things, like they are going to be aware enough of the current climate that they're going to try, especially trying to appeal to a younger audience, then they're going to probably want to appeal to, you know, a little bit of ethical standards. I just feel like it's more the like old the L'Oreals and the Estee Lauders of the world that are just kind of like, screw it, we're just gonna go and test some stuff on animals in China because money, you know? And so I don't know, I guess I just kind of like oddly in the back of my head give brands the benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing about cruelty-free status, right? Cruelty-free status is not a regulated term. It just has, you know, certain companies that will endorse a brand for being cruelty-free, and cruelty-free means that they're not selling in mainland China apparently at all. Anybody who is trying to thread the needle or find a loophole or anything like that is going to be subject, is my understanding, to possible post-market testing if someone were to have an allergic reaction or something like that. And so, yes, I totally understand why Cruelty-Free Kitty would say, no, that's not cruelty-free, because, you know, if you're trying to break it down to a binary, the technicalities preclude it, you know, and that does make sense to me. I did not realize that there were no ways of selling in China, in mainland China. You can buy online, but in mainland China, there's no way to sell there like and still be considered cruelty free. And I did see a comment that I just kind of threw me for a loop too, where someone said, yeah, but I mean, I live in China. What am I supposed to do? Like, I want to try these beautiful luxury brands. And, you know, if there's a store that's going to facilitate that, then I, you know, want to be able to buy from that. Well, the whole thing is that some of these stores, the ones that carry Fenty and Charlotte Tilbury and things like that, are putting up pop-ups in mainland China to try the products and things like that. And so that essentially is the like preclusive like exception of saying no, they are live and on the ground to be tried and tested in displays in like malls and stuff and stores in China, and therefore they are going to possibly be subject to post-market testing if someone were to have a reaction or complaint or something like that. So again, I get it, but you see how it gets in the weeds really fast. I am not a very in the weeds person, and so reading all this stuff, I was just kind of getting exhausted. And so the second thing that makes a brand absolutely cruelty-free is that their final product nor their ingredients were tested on animals. And the big issue there is that there are a lot of brands that want to come out with like new chemicals, right? And they're like, oh, this is our innovative new peptide or ceramide or whatever, but they will say that it needs to be tested anew, you know, in order to, you know, allergy tests and things like that. Apparently there are, you know, lab created human conditions and things like that that are built from stem cells and stuff that you can use to test these products for safety that does not involve dropping them in animals' eyes, kinds of things. But yeah, that seems to be the overall reasoning behind a lot of it. That and money, right? I mean, you know, MAC hasn't been cruelty-free since 2012. They're just like, you know, who cares? Just sell our stuff everywhere. It's beautiful, it's pigmented, it's, you know, professional makeup artist quality. People are gonna buy it regardless, kind of thing. Now, my question comes down to a handful of brands. We have Fenty, which is in what, you know, Cruelty-Free Kitty calls the gray area. And it is because they sell through a shop that has those pop-up stores in mainland China, as does Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury is also in the process of being sold. And we do know that a parent company, depending on like how strict you are about your own cruelty-free standards, that the parent company does not always, you know, have the power to take a cruelty-free brand and make them not cruelty-free anymore. But some people are very wary of that, and they don't want their money, like the profits of that company, going to the parent company regardless. So if like Shiseido owns them, or L'Oreal, or you know, Estee Lauder or anything like that, even if that company can still maintain its cruelty-free status from a manufacturing standpoint, people still don't want their money going to the parent company, so they'll just stop. You know, and so like Shiseido bought Drunk Elephant, a lot of people took Drunk Elephant off the table for a lot of people, kind of thing. And so I can't remember the name of the company that is buying Charlotte Tilbury, but they have much looser standards. It is expected to go a lot more global, and so that is kind of the, I don't know, I don't want to say the kiss of death, but it definitely is a thing that raises a lot of questions and reopens the conversation about any brand when they do something like that. And so, you know, I just bought this beautiful, huge bronzer from her, and I do like her products even though they're way overpriced. But I mean, you know, Fenty, Charlotte Tilbury, are they cruelty-free by your standards? let me know, because we can take them off of my channel. Like, this is not something where I want to be ignorant to. Like, the whole point of cruelty-free is not to try and thread the needle. It's about trying to keep animals from being hurt in the name of beauty, because that's stupid. You know, we're doing it enough in the pharmaceutical industry. We're doing it enough to do everything else in the world. We don't need it for cosmetics and skincare, okay? So another person messaged me and said, is Patrick Ta cruelty-free? And I don't know. I haven't seen anywhere. He's not on Cruelty-Free Kitty either. There's no like judgment one way or the other about his brand on her website yet, and it's because I think it's because he's just such a new brand, but they make a very adamant and strongly worded claim on their website about like absolutely not. And that's the same thing that like Daniel Sandler does. You know, it's like, we will never, ever, ever, like we are completely one, you know what I mean? And you don't necessarily have to have the backing of the logo of a Leaping Bunny or a PETA certification or anything like that in order to be considered cruelty-free. It would be nice to have the transparency to know one way or the other. And I'm curious, like, I know that this is gonna be polarizing, but you know, is this the benefit of the doubt? Like, you know, do we give a brand like that the benefit of the doubt? Because there's really no reason to think yet, at least to my knowledge, that he's being sold in mainland China or anything like that. So that's another one that's in contention. And that also puts Drunk Elephant in contention. And not that I was really like, you know, prioritizing buying from them anytime soon anyway, but it puts something like Fenty in the same category as Pat McGrath, which in my mind, maybe arbitrarily, has always been not cruelty-free. I've always wanted to try Pat McGrath's products, trust me. If she would verify her cruelty-free status, she would get all of my money. I would just be like, I want to know what it's like from the mothership, you know? But yeah, I realized that my personal like lines in the sand they're not reality, you know? And so if she's gonna be in the gray area, then so is Pat McGrath. And by that standard, like, I'm not sure that Fenty really counts. I'm not sure that Charlotte Tilbury really counts. And then also Morphe is on their gray list, because not that I'm buying from Morphe anytime soon, but boy, did Morphe enter the chat yesterday. My goodness. Or at least entered the conversation. Tati entered the chat. I would love to say that I don't care about what the heck is going on between Tati and Shane and James and Jeffrey, but I watched her entire 40-minute video. I've been watching Tati for so long. Do I think that anyone is without blame in any situation ever? Probably not. I am sitting here with my popcorn, okay? Like, it just is what it is. And when she said, she's like, no, I think that Jeffrey tried to damage my brand because he's actually an undisclosed part owner of Morphe, and they're putting out a hair, skin, and nails vitamin. I was like, oh, I'll be over here. It all seems so very, very stressful. But yeah, apparently Morphe's on the gray list too because of all their Jaclyn Hill stuff that no one would have ever known about if Jen Lo's reviews hadn't come out and been like, hi, I'm getting rid of my old palettes because they changed the formula without even telling Jaclyn Hill, much less telling us, and they claim to still be vegan and these formulas are different, X, Y, and Z. So I guess the takeaway there is, again, we are in so many gray areas, and I think that cruelty-free has always been something that I thought would be very, very easy to understand and very, very easy to maintain, and just a safe thing to be able to talk about on my channel that's just like, oh guys, yeah, cruelty-free. I've also gotten one comment, but it was very adamant that was like, oh, cruelty-free, that's your white privilege showing. And I was like, wait, what? What? Is it? I don't know. Is cruelty-free like in some way exclusionary? I don't know. So I open that up to you guys. These are all conversations that I do not feel equipped to have by myself, you know, like just Googling things. It's just there's so much out there. And it's kind of like when we talked about sunscreens, right? In my Supergoop video, and I was just like, no. And like a few people left me the most helpful comments who had gone and done found the resources that had the true information on them. And they left me these really, really great comments that were like, here's the breakdown in my understanding of how this works. And I was like, oh, you know? And so that is what I'm asking, I guess, is just help. Because I do want to stay above board on all this stuff, and I don't want to be that person who is like, you know, making entire videos telling people who might use me as one of their only cruelty-free status resources, and they're, you know, buying a product that isn't actually up to their standards. Like that's not something I really want to contribute to. And one more thing about this conversation, kind of bringing it back, tying it back to what we were talking about before. So here I am talking about how I would love to have, you know, a pocket of beauty that I feel like we can just very safely shop within, right? Like margins, just give me some margins. And I think to myself, okay, well, if I want to make sure that things are completely verified cruelty-free, like outside of me, right? Outside of my own lack of knowledge, there are websites that do only carry, or only mostly carry, or at least try and make some kind of distinction about things being cruelty-free. I didn't realize that Amazon has a cruelty-free filter. That's kind of cool. But, you know, talking about something like Pettivore, and I think, oh, well, you know, all of these like clean beauty brands are cruelty-free because they understand the customer is a very conscious consumer, right? They're very conscious of where their ingredients come from, obviously. I mean, if you find one that has lanolin in it, or carmine or something, or what's the other one, tallow, things like that, you know, they feel like they almost have to qualify that because then their product isn't vegan anymore. Cruelty-free just kind of seems to come with the territory. But then we're back into the world of clean beauty and how it's not inclusive. So it's like, it's such kind of a headache from my standpoint of trying to find the products that I feel like, and the brands that I can rely on, and the stores that I can rely on, places that are resources that I feel like I can steer people towards, because I know if I'm having a headache about this, other people are too. And so that is kind of just what I'm up against. I don't have a solution. I just wanted to start that conversation. I put Naturium on this list to anti-haul. Oh my goodness, I haven't even caught up. I feel like Susan Yara got kind of overshadowed by everything else that happened. You know, Jenna Marbles left the platform. Ingrid Nilsson left the platform yesterday. Mikey put out the most incredible hour-long video about LRADs and psychological manipulation from like the military and the police, and I was just like, whoa. There's just, I mean, YouTube has been a very, very weird place to be lately. So I'm just gonna go on to Trend Mood here and see. Oh, I want to talk about the Colourpop foundation. So they came out with a Pretty Fresh foundation. And, you know, as far as things not breaking the bank, absolutely. And I know that they are cruelty-free, okay? I like to offer, whenever I can, more affordable options that I feel like are up to my standard of performance. So, you know, sure. Oh, Urban Decay added me to their email list, emailing for PR. They're doing a really cool new thing. So I know that Urban Decay has in the past been a very, like a large mailer of PR packages and probably gotten a little bit of flack for that because of just all the packaging and everything. I am definitely not a beauty creator who gets like dozens of PR packages every month. That's just like not a thing that happens to me. But I know that that was something that was happening from a lot of different brands, and some of them still don't care. But Urban Decay has started emailing and being like, hey, we'll give you a hint as to what this product is before we release it. If you want to receive it, go and fill this little thing out. Because sometimes you'll just skip it. Like if it was just like a full release of lipsticks, I'd be like, I'll see you on the next one kind of thing. But I thought that that was really cool that they were going about it that way. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. And I did go ahead and sign up for whatever their new release is. I don't know what it is yet. Kylie Cosmetics is so all over this, and so is Morphe. So apparently it is, I'm not sure if everybody has a different like price or whatever, but I think it's $1,000 to get your post on Trend Mood. So I think that that's why people do this is, you know, it'll be like multiple posts from somebody like Jeffree Star or something. Is because they're able to pay like $1,000 per post. Oh my gosh, did you guys see the new Revolution Beauty? These are like literally, they don't even try to make this stuff look different, okay? But here is a very good example of the weird intersectionality of trying to assign a binary of good versus evil in beauty. So we're talking about a complete knockoff of the Hourglass ambient lighting palettes, right? You know, it's like 3 blushes with this little swirly pattern. Everything looks exactly the same. And it's Revolution, and so it's going to be very inexpensive. It's going to be available at Ulta. It's going to be very accessible. And who knows how they perform, but people are probably going to buy them because they don't want to buy the Hourglass palettes at, you know, $80 a pop in some cases. Now, while I think Makeup Revolution is kind of just, I think that they irritate me, right? I don't like knockoff products. They kind of drive me crazy. And there's a lot of gray area there too, because like e.l.f. will put out a palette that's inspired by a certain colorway, but I feel like they do things a little bit differently, enough that it seems like it's at least an original product. Revolution, like, wholesale rips off packaging. And I feel like that's just what they do. They're a big brand that kind of skates by, and they just sort of go la 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 la, like who cares, whatever, buy our products. Now the only other thing about this is Hourglass's palettes are not very inclusive, and they don't have very good colorways for deep skin tones, and a lot of it comes off ashy on deep skin tones. And they've always been like super cruelty free, like very conscious about cruelty free. And I did do a breakdown of like a how clean is on Hourglass, and they do a pretty darn good job with like a few exceptions. And so to me, they were always, you know, pretty above board, and they always got fantastic reviews from you guys, and that was what inspired me to finally jump in and spend my money and try Hourglass. And I've had a few fails with them, but for the most part, especially those ambient lighting palettes are just absolutely gorgeous. I reach for them all the time when we're doing a powder look. So that in and of itself always kind of put them in this light of being a very good brand if we're going to assign a binary, right? Except that they're not very inclusive. And this release from Makeup Revolution looks really inclusive. Like, they have actual colorways that look like they are meant for deep skin tones, very richly pigmented blushes that look like they will actually show up on deep skin tones. And they have like golden, you know, like really beautiful, like deeper colors of highlights and stuff like that. And it looks like it's gonna look great on deep skin tones. And you can see that they kind of went, well, we're gonna rip off your concept, but we are going to do one better and actually include people of color in this release. And to me, it makes it so hard to just dismiss it, because I'm like, Hourglass, you got a little bit of catching up to do, you know? And so, yeah, I think that that's really the encapsulation of the entire issue. Morphe. Anybody else like really excited about fall makeup? I'm ready. The only other thing that I think that I was going to mention is the new Natasha Denona palette. Speaking of fall colors, my goodness, is she pretty. And it's one of the slightly smaller ones that still has 15 shades in it, and so it is $65, I believe, and it came out with a palette of highlighters and stuff, and also I think that, I want to say that those are either liquid shadows or oh, they're gloss and balms for your lips. So I think that this is absolutely gorgeous. I am not a Natasha Denona collector anymore, just because I feel like I don't reach for eyeshadow palettes that often, but I do feel like this particular palette, guys, screams deep skin tones in the most beautiful way possible. It's like they took the gold palette, made it more fall toned, more warm. It's super richly pigmented, especially that highlight palette. Oh my gosh, it's pretty. So yeah, it's very beautiful. But not for me, and that's okay. So yeah, y'all, as far as things that are coming out right now, it was more so that I wanted to have some deeper conversations around the why of certain things either belonging on my channel or not belonging on my channel, and kind of bringing you guys into that conversation, because I really value your take and your opinion more so than passing judgment on new releases, like, you know, one by one kind of thing. I do feel like we're in sort of a summer lull right now of things coming out anyway, and I'm also, again, in a mindset of kind of like wanting to low buy and appreciate what I have. But yeah, guys, let me know all of your thoughts down below on all the things that I just covered. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.